Now I would like to discuss about the government, the Tamada and the Parliament. The Parliament is usually in line with the government, so we don't have much to discuss about the Parliament in the peace process. So in 2019, the government, that means both the Parliament and the military, pursue 4 objectives. So number 1 is to resume the peace process that stalled after the Korean National Union, the KNU, and the Restoration Council of Shan State, RCSS, suspended their participation in formal negotiations in late October 2018. So number 2 objective is to convene the 4th Union Peace Conference, the 21st Century Span, with the aim for reaching an agreement on a set of federal principles. And number 3, the government aimed to pursue the ceasefire with still fighting groups such as the KIA, TNLA, AA, and MNDAA. And number 4, the government aims to convince the non-signatories of the NCA to sign the agreement. Unfortunately, the government did not meet all 4 objectives in 2019. To resume the peace talk, the government sent a delegation to meet with the KNU representatives in Chiang Mai, Thailand, as early as March 2019. In 2019, a total of 8 informal meetings took place between the government and signatories of the NCA. So beginning of the 2020 saw some hope to resume the formal peace talk. On January 8, 2020, the government and EAOs held the Joint Implementation Coordination Meeting, or we also call it JICM. That's the highest level meeting designed to resolve impasses in the peace process. So it was the resumption of the formal negotiation in the very beginning of 2020. So both sides agree to hold the Union Peace Conference, the 21st Century Panel, in 2020. However, the COVID-19 has delayed the conference up to this point. So for the government to successfully implement the peace process, there are 4 obstacles the government must overcome. The one is the strained civil-military relations. So this civil-military relation has continued to pose a major challenge for peace-related coordination between the NLD-led government and the military. Throughout the peace process under the NLD government, the government lost its initiative as a leader in the peace process. So government is now more like the facilitator rather than a leading institution handling the peace process. The second obstacle is the government peace architecture, especially at the decision-making level. So government's peace architecture lacks an effective and efficient decision-making platform, especially between the government and the Tamada. The third obstacle is the fact that the Peace Commission, which is tasked with implementing the NRPC's policy, was not properly empowered or provided with policy guidance. So for example, when compared with the Union Peacemaking Working Committee, UPWC, that existed under the previous administration, the Peace Commission is much smaller in size and less mandated. The fourth obstacle is technical support body. The government current peace architecture lacks a proper technical support body. Compared to the previous administration, which established Myanmar Peace Center, which staffed over 120 people to support the peace architecture, this administration did not have such a strong technical support body to support the peace architecture. The NRPC has recently recognized a shortfall and attempted to establish a technical secretariat, but the new department has yet to materialize. So government need to address these 4 issues, these challenges, to implement the peace process successfully even beyond 2020. So let me talk a little bit about the Thermidor. The Thermidor remains the veto-wielding power within the government side of the peace negotiations. So without consent from the Thermidor, no agreement could be made at the Union Peace Conference. So Thermidor is one of the critical pieces in this peace process. When it comes to Rakhine issue, especially with the Arakan Army, the government and the Thermidor largely shared a common position regarding the handling of the Arakan Army. The government, however, remained reluctant throughout 2019 to allow the military to impose martial law, like it did during stability operation in Laokai in 2014. That means there may be some common ground between the government and Thermidor, but at the same time, there are also differences in how the Rakhine issue should be handled between the government and the military. There was also some progress in the peace process. One of the most significant was that the government and the Thermidor, including the parliament, agreed 69 points of federal principles in 2019. So the government has handed those principles to the EAO as well for further negotiation. Another significant development in 2019 in relation to the Thermidor was the Commander-in-Chief's explicit endorsement of federalism. So on the anniversary of the NCA signing in October 2019, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing stated that the Thermidor supported a federal union while noting the existence of different federal state models. He gave reference that the Thermidor interested in the Indian model of federalism, and the military also sent a Thermidor delegation to India to study its federalism over there. Now I would like to talk about the signatories of nationwide ceasefire agreements. The Korean National Union, KNU, and the Restoration Council of Shan State, RCSS, are 2 main players among the signatories. So how they act in the peace process actually matter. So their boycott to formal negotiation stalled the peace process since October 2018 up to early 2020. Their relationship with Thermidor varies from one year to another as well. So dichotomy among the nationwide ceasefire agreement signatories emerged in the lead up to the summit with the government and the Thermidor in October 2018. The division among the EAOs became more obvious in early 2019 after the KNU and RCSS suspended the participation of the formal negotiation. Although the smaller EAOs wished to quicken the peace process and the negotiations, the larger EAOs feared that the incumbent National League for Democracy administration had limited capacity to reach a deal in the peace process. So there are 2 divisions. One smaller groups, they want to move faster, and the larger groups, they want to take time. So the signatories of the NCA spent the majority of 2019 exploring ways to restart the peace process and restructure the approach in search of better results. For the KNU, this first meant resolving internal divisions among its leadership. So in the KNU's internal contestation spilled over to the peace process occasionally. The Peace Process Steering Team, also known as the PPST, which sets the policy for the NCA signatory, was stalled until May 2019. So the NCA signatories attempted to restructure the PPST in May 2019, but the meeting did not go well since some KNU leaders proposed an alternative mechanism called Peace Process Consultative Committee meeting, PPCM. So there was some argument whether PPST should remain in place or should be replaced by another mechanism called PPCM. So the PPST was about to collapse in that meeting. But to prevent the breakdown, RCS's chairperson, January Yorsak, proposed a last-minute compromise by supporting further exploration of the options of the PPCM while asking the KNU to continue participation in the PPST proceedings. The KMU was struggling with its own internal divisions among the leadership the most part of the 2019. The PPST was able to resume its meeting in August 2019. However, in general, the 2019 was mostly a frozen year for the NCA secretary as well. So now we have discussed many different issues in 2019, and I would like to have a bit of discussions to project potential issues in 2020 as well. So the government, including the Tamador and ethnic armed organization, agreed to hold the 4th Union Peace Conference before the elections. However, some political parties, which are also the key participants of the peace conference, are not happy with the timing, especially right before the elections. On the other hand, pre-negotiation sections did not go very well up to late June 2020 either. That means we have only about less than 2 months before the holding of the Union Peace Conference. There is no sufficient time to pre-negotiate a plethora of issues, especially under the COVID-19 pandemic. With all these signs showing, even if the Union Peace Conference is held before the election, the result may not be significant. When we talk about the security situation, the Rakhine will remain tense. Both sides will not back down the status quo. The Tamador will continue its assault on the Arakan Army's positions and raids the villages that they deem supporters of the Arakan Army. So the Tamador appears to view the conflict in Rakhine as a long-term operation. So its operations are now gaining momentum. So the Arakan Army has also announced that they want both the military and civil administration out of Rakhine. This means likely the Arakan Army will target not only the military but also the civil administration as well. With the outbreak of COVID-19, Rakhine has become the most vulnerable place for an infectious breakout in coming months. Another potential escalation is in Papua Karen State. The tension between the KNLA, which is the arm wing of the KNUs, the Brigade 5 and the Tamador is rising to an alarming level since the signing of the bilateral agreement in 2012. If military commanders from both sides fail to meet, the conflict may likely escalate in Papua in 2020. But there are also good news. The Shan State may likely de-escalate in 2020. We are seeing fewer number of clashes in 2020, although there were some incidents. If this trend continues, we will likely see more peace in Shan North in 2020. Another good news is Kachin State. Kachin State was stable in 2019, and it will remain stable in 2020 as well. When it comes to election, most ethnic armed organizations will attempt to shape the electoral landscape in the 2020 election. Many of them supported the NLD in the 2015 elections, and they asked their constituencies to vote for the NLD in 2015. However, this pattern may likely change in 2020. The ethnic organizations may likely support own ethnic parties in 2020 to shape the electoral landscape. Thank you for watching our presentation. We'd like to repeat that our presentation does not justify our report, which has extensive data and analysis. I'm happy to answer questions from the journalists if you may have. Thank you.